From Tally to Cali, it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, Corner Pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan
and Corey Clark.
What's up, Corey? It's Corey. It's Aslan. It's Wake Up Warchant. We are live on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. Time to have some fun today, everybody. We're going to call it Listener Appreciation Day. We're just going to take all your guys' questions here on YouTube live, part of the Warchant.com podcast network. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code bottom of your screen, Warchant30, in case you're listening to this as a podcast on your Thursday commute, possibly. Corey Clark, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Got some, I think it's good news. Had an ultrasound on my stomach on Wednesday afternoon, and they called and told me that I do indeed have some sludge and some stones in my gallbladder. But we got the diagnosis at least. So we know what's causing it, and I'll have to have a consultation with the doctor to see if it needs to be removed or if I can just live with it. But yeah, at least now we know what the issue was, and I wasn't just making it all up, which was good to see.
We've got sponsors to plug, but I don't know if that's the best time to start plugging us.
Right after the gallstones, yeah. Let's hang low. Let's hang low a bit.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit. You know, it's been a nice quiet day at the Midtown offices. I'm like, all right, let's get up. Let's do this live show. We got stuff to talk about. The NCAA making some legislative changes. The 25 limit no longer a thing for the next 2 years. You can bring in as many dudes as you want. Just stay under that 85 scholarship limit. Divisions are going to go by the wayside. We'll talk about what that all means. But I'm like, all right, let's do this. It's my job. I'll put on the brave face. Okay. There's more, Corey. We saw this before we came on air. Shane shows up and says, got to work tonight, but as always, you know I like to show my appreciation. Start this show off, right? He leaves us $500 American dollars.
That'll go through the gallbladder surgery fund, Shane. Thanks, man.
Let's
Thanks.
Go!
You crazy son of a gun.
Shane! Shane! Doesn't even just left. Can't even be here tonight. But here's $500. Shane, what can be said about you that we haven't said already? I don't know. Just amazing human being. Amazing human being. Generous human being, Corey.
Very, very generous. Way too generous. Way too generous. Hey, if you see him in New Orleans, you should buy him a beer to make up for it.
Man, I will buy you a beer. I will pay for your Uber to and fro the dungeon.
I thought you say from Dallas.
Oh, no, I mean, maybe a couple more 500s might be able to get him first class to Dallas from New Orleans from Dallas. And then in the interim, so that was dropped at 6:59 p.m. At 7 p.m., James B., Pensacola, who his avatar reflects the seasons of change amongst the athletic calendar, now has Florida State baseball avatar. Shane, he says, I was waiting till they came on. You suck. LOL. I love you, brother. Because James was like,
wow.
Welcome to the party, and I'm bringing some friends with me. 300, let's go. James! James! That was for our guy, Nolaholic. By the way, the air horn. Nolaholic, shout out to you. He calls it the Aslan pimp horn.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah, so
that's a catchy title too.
Oh no, it was a derisive term because it was a video that I wasn't on. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad this is a video without Aslan's pimp horn on it." So sorry,
it might have been derisive. He might have just been cracking a joke, buddy. Come on,
no,
being fun. Okay,
he's not. You know, YouTube, all right. But I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to hurt your feelings because your skin's tougher than mine. All right, but hey, let's all have some. Stop sending us money. Good vibes to Corey. So Corey's stomach gets back to normal functioning behavior.
I can buy a new gallbladder with all this money. I can have a gallbladder transplant.
Oh my goodness! All right, man. Wes from the Villages says, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Wes? We're just working, man. How are you?" So, what is more likely to happen first? Destin Hill shows up on campus, or they start using the video board at Hauser to the liking of our guy Corey Clark. Go Noles.
I've been thinking about this. I talked about it a little bit on headlines. I'm not going to go on another rant about the video board, but if they do host a regional, don't they? I'm pretty sure the NCAA controls the video board because they do those like they do the public service announcements for NCAA and good sportsmanship. And I think they play like the music for the fight song for the other teams that are in the regional. I don't know that it's run by the Dick Hauser crew. So because it's been so long, I feel like since they've had a regional, it's been since 18, right?
Correct.
I want to see what it looks like if they host a regional, and it's a big if, especially because of that game last night would have really helped towards that goal. But I didn't think they choked, man. I thought they played well. I mean, not that I'll answer the question in a second, but that last inning, you got a runner on first. Tyler Martin that's a great swing on a great pitch, and the kid just makes a great play. That should have been first and second with one out. Instead, Tyler Martin does a great job then of stealing second when they're not looking. That's what he does. And then Carry-On has a really good swing, and the right fielder just makes a play. I mean, it just hung up. Like, maybe don't use the kid you use there with 2 outs in the ninth inning or right there to try to close out that inning. But other than that, I thought, they played. I thought they played pretty well. Baumeister was okay. And then I thought Scolaro was great.
Yes.
Other than when he came in and gave up the immediate hit. But anyway, I think, look, now there is a chance. I'm telling you, Florida State, they still feel like they might see Destin Hill in the summer. I talked to people that would know right when spring was over, and he was still a part of the plan at that point. So we'll see what happens in June and if my man ever makes it here. But I would still think, I think the chances are Destin Hill shows up before they fix the atrocity that is that video board.
Well, hey, better to have a video board than no video board at all. Maybe
correct.
Not using it properly. Just a reminder, in case you guys don't remember, Destin Hill 6'1", 180 pounds. This was back in late 2020. The 167th ranked player in the class of 2021 that just seems to be a real infatuation for a vocal part of the fan base. I'm solutions based. I don't know if it's a solution. It's an option, I would at the minimum. I just don't know what we're thinking from a young man who was maybe borderline blue chip, but hasn't played competitive football in close to 2 years.
Yeah, and who knows what he did in 2020 during COVID? Like, how many games was he able to play? I don't know. I don't know what Louisiana's COVID restrictions were. I doubt they were like California's, but you never know. But yeah, I think it's at this point the fans almost treat it as like a Deshaun Platt from 20 years ago joke about Destin Hill. But we'll see. I mean, there are people that are really hoping he comes. And look, man, the Florida State coaching staff thinks there's a real shot that he ends up here. So we'll see. But right now, no idea.
What about Jordan Addison? How come we don't go after him, Corey?
Let's go after him. What's going on? Get all that as Marius Mims money and shift it on over to Addison. That would be worthy of like 3 straight shows if they got Jordan Addison. That would be incredible. But for the people that don't know, and I think we've talked about it on this show, I think we talked about it with Ira, the way Winston Wright's tweeting, there is a chance, right? I mean, I don't know that he would tweet about a money year. This is his money year. And he retweeted the ACC primetime schedule that had the Florida game and the LSU game on it and said, this is why I came here to play in these games. That would be weird to do that if you were sitting out the whole year. It'd be weird to tweet about these games that you came to play if you're not actually planning on playing. So maybe the rehab and the prognosis is much better than we maybe initially thought, and he could be ready to go by August.
Yeah. Our own Gene Williams, founder and administrator of warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source, has a bit of an update over on the website about the status of Winston, the self-appointed champ, Wright Jr. Apparently, the timeline is better than first expected, but probably not what most of you folks want, which would be like week 1. But again, go to warchant.com and Tribal Council. It's pinned to the top for our subscribers. Gene Williams doing some real good reporting on the status of Winston Wright. So there's the tweet. Can't read it if you're listening to us on the podcast, but Winston retweeted, as Corey said, the ACC talk about the primetime games. So these are the type of games I came to be a part of. Hashtag God's plan.
There you go.
Keeping things rolling here on YouTube. Let's go to our guy, T. Giddings, Thomas Giddings, that is, dropping 50. Thank you, Thomas.
Dollar bills, y'all.
T. Giddy in the house.
T. Gids in the crib. Wake up, Aslan and Corey. Can we get more Tuesdays with Tom so I can get my hockey talk LOL. Absolutely.
Yeah, Tom's a big Lightning fan. So congrats to all you guys, and thank you very much, Thomas, for the donation. That's very, very kind. Tom is a huge Lightning fan, and I'm not, but I'm just not a hockey fan. But I cheer for the Lightning because I got friends that are Lightning fans, and I tell you what, man, like if you're even a tiny bit invested in a playoff hockey game, and I'm very marginally invested. But like when the Lightning, I think the Lightning, who did they beat? Not the Panthers. I'm talking about the last series. Who did they? Oh, the Maple Leafs. Yeah. By the way, why are we letting Canada just tell us how we use our grammar? It's not. It's Maple Leaves. The plural of a leaf is leaves, gang. It's the Maple Leaves, not the Maple Leafs. I'm gonna go rake some leaves. Anyway,
I like the FS better.
But yeah, that's not how grammar works, though. You gotta go with the dictionary. But yeah, so watching that game that Tampa Bay won, the Game 7 against Toronto, where it's a 1-goal game, late, man, that stuff is I can't imagine being a hockey fan. Like you saw what postseason baseball did to me. It about drove me mad. And luckily, it doesn't look like I'll have to worry about that this year with this slappy Braves team. But that hockey stuff is a whole different level, man. I just that because it ends so quickly. It's just like a lot of like going back and forth, and then the season's over. Like just like that. It's really, really tense.
You folks have been so incredibly generous today, and there's more people that are already throwing tips our way. Man, we can't thank you folks enough. But just if we could, we're going to get to all that and show our appreciation for, I guess, you guys showing us your appreciation. But we should talk about some of the stuff near the top of the show here as we go about 12 minutes into the program here, Corey. The two developments from the NCAA on Wednesday, the first one being that the 25 signing limit and cap is going to be removed for the next 2 years to catch up with the portal sort of backlog. I would think that's probably going to become rule of law for more than 2 years. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, me maybe being the contrarian, I don't know how much more easier we're going to try to make this job for head coaches that are getting paid millions of dollars. They no longer really have to think about what they want to do on fourth down. They look at a piece of paper, it tells them what to do. They don't have to worry about recruiting kids in high school and developing them and seeing them grow because they can just go into the transfer portal and pull guys left and right and cut loose sort of talent that they didn't evaluate properly. And then now they can constantly just keep bringing in as many guys as they can to stay at that 85 limit. I just, where's the art in coaching, man? Where's the art, the nuance that these guys are getting paid $5 million a year to figure out? It's crazy. I mean, good for them, I guess, but just maybe I can be a head coach now, Corey. I don't
necessarily think it's like a Florida State centered issue. I think it's more of like, to me anyway, it's like the UABs of the world or the Georgia Southerns of the world, where they're going to have a lot. Like if they have a really good team with a lot of roster, well, they're going to have 16 guys go in the portal or 14 guys go in the portal, and there's not a lot of kids going out of the portal to commit to Georgia Southern. No offense, Statesboro, I love you. But I think like Florida State, it shouldn't affect too much. It helps you increase the roster turnover quicker. Certainly, you could bring in 33 new guys as long as 33 guys leave. So that helps. But I just think it's trying to take care of the schools that are getting fleeced in the transfer portal with all these players leaving, I would think, right? Like, because you got to give them, if they lose 27 guys, but can only bring in 25, well, now you're at 83. And then if that happens again, now you're at 81. I mean,
create a good program, man. Create a winning program that people want to stay with. Be able to develop kids and put them in the NFL so that they'll stick around and they won't leave your program. I mean, that's kind of my counter to it. I guess that's being a little too hardline. I understand where you're coming from, though. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, but this is the reality of college football. Like everybody's losing kids, but there's only about 8 or 10 or 15 that don't have to worry about losing good kids to the portal. So, and it is a numbers game, and it does help. It's just I'm all for trying to get your arms around the portal and trying to figure out a way to make it equitable for Alabama and UTEP and everybody in the middle. I'm all for trying to make that equitable, and I think this does that. I think this helps those schools that are losing losing a lot of kids to the portal, or there's a coaching turnover or anything else. Like you're not so hamstrung by that 25 rule. But reality, like what would Florida State bring in? 30, 29? I mean, it's not that big a difference, honestly. I mean, and they've already had such a big turnover. You know, yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it's going to shift the landscape of the sport, but I think it does it's trying to attack this portal issue.
Yeah. I guess Kansas is the sort of case study that everybody's been tweeting about and pointing to, is that Kansas forever has not been at the 85 number because they keep losing players and they're not able to sign enough guys to replace the deficit that they're at. So maybe, again, to your point, maybe this helps those lower sort of programs kind of lift themselves up. It becomes
a math problem, right? Like you can't catch up. If you get down 6 in 1 year and you've only at 79, and then you can never really catch up to the 85 because you're constantly losing players. So at least it allows you to get to I can't get these earphones to stay in to the 85.
This was also discussed on Wednesday, and it's going to go ahead and become the rule of the land. And it was talked about at ACC Media Days, or rather ACC meetings, I'm sorry, at Amelia Island. Irish Show fellows out there all week long, hanging out there for us, working hard for us over at warchant.com. But no longer conferences no longer, to have a conference style game, have to have divisions. They can go ahead and dissolve that and take the top 2 teams to compete for their conference championship at the end of the season. The Pac-12 announced that they're going to go ahead and make that their sort of rule, if you will, for this upcoming season. So the top 2 teams in the Pac-12, they're the highest winning percentage in conference, will play for the conference title. ACC sounds like they probably want to do that maybe 2023.
Is the Pac-12 this year? Are they doing it? Yeah. Okay.
They're going right to it this season.
Yeah.
You like that idea, Cord? Possible Florida State, Clemson playing twice in a year. You think, maybe Miami and Pitt possibly, so you'd be able to have the top 2 teams compete for your conference title. Is that because of the playoff? What is you think the big reason for doing that?
Well, I think for the Pac-12, and it was the ACC forever, where you have one team that's 8-0 or like 11-1 or 12-0 playing a team that's 7-5, and it's just not a good matchup for TV. And a lot of them, most of them, weren't competitive in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's happened with the Pac-12 a good bit too, where you'll have a team that's 10-2 facing a team that is 6-6 or 7-5. I think I'm all for this. I want this to happen, but man, it would go so much better with a 12-team playoff, because then, say Clemson's 12-0, they beat Florida State, and this is clearly hypothetical, folks. They just beat Florida State 31-30, and Florida State's 10-2. Clemson's number 3 in the country, number 2 in the country. They're locked and loaded for a playoff berth. Florida State's 10-2, 9-3, can't get in, but can knock Clemson out. Is that good for the ACC? I know it's great for Florida State to win an ACC championship, but is that good for the ACC as a whole to lose a playoff spot? Because instead of playing one of the slappies from the Coastal, you're playing a really good team that you had trouble beating the first time, and it's hard to beat a good team twice. And so what if you lose that game? Now you're out of the playoff. Probably. I know Notre Dame got in a couple of years ago, but I think that was an anomaly. They were undefeated too, I think, and they had beaten Clemson, right? I think that's how that worked, right?
Because Trevor Lawrence was sick because of COVID, and it was the COVID season when they played a conference schedule.
So I think that I love the idea. It's going to be so much better when it's a 12-team playoff, and you're not risking losing a playoff spot. You're actually, the reward is that if Clemson loses to Florida State, they both get in the playoff. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be so much better for the Pac-12 and the ACC to potentially have a team, because that team that's going to have the second best percentage is probably right on the cusp of the playoff in a 12-team format or an 8-team format. In a big win over the team with the best winning percentage is going to vault them into a playoff spot, and I think that's good for all these conferences. Right now, it's 2 teams from the SEC, maybe Oklahoma until they get in the SEC, and then a Big Ten team or a Pac-12 team or maybe an ACC team. That's what the playoff is. But when we get to 12, these conference games will really be there's no risk. It's all reward, because Clemson wouldn't. It's not like Clemson, if they're 11-1, would get knocked out of the playoff if they lost to Florida State in the ACC championship game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we avoided it as Florida State fans, seeing Florida kind of backdoor their way into the playoff a few years ago with that Kyle Pitts team. I mean, they had to have been third or fourth probably in winning percentage in the conference, but since they won the East, they were able to go to the conference title game. And if they would have beat Alabama, they might have been able to go in there. But if you don't remember, they lost, and then the bowl game they got annihilated by Oklahoma. So
and now they have a new coach.
Yeah, that's true. We're now going to go over the SEC. I feel like there's more. I mean, the whole "it means more" thing. Like they love themselves so much. I almost feel like they would rather win their own conference than like make the playoff. It'd be a bigger feather in the cap to win the SEC and then.
Well, those people are freaks.
Yeah. But I mean, for them, that removes a huge opportunity, and that places a big barrier if you're a team like Tennessee, probably. If you're a team like Tennessee, you're thinking, all right, if we can maybe upset Georgia and Georgia has a hiccup against Auburn in their annual game, we can win this division and we can play for the conference championship. But
I don't know that the SEC will even do it. I mean,
yeah,
they get great matchups.
They're saying
typically.
Once Texas and Oklahoma come in, though, they'll probably, once that happens and they have the 16 teams, they'll probably take the top two.
Yeah.
But
I guess with Oklahoma and Texas moving in too. Yeah, it's just, but the problem with the ACC is that the way the divisions were lined up, you got some awful matchups. The SEC matchups are always really good, or almost always really good. So I don't know that they haven't had an issue. Obviously, the ACC has an issue with their championship game. It's usually been a bunch of blowouts.
Yeah. Pac-12 hasn't been all that great either, too. So
right.
They're trying to figure it out as well. All right, let's keep things moving here on the show. Again, thanks, man. Shane, James, Thomas, we appreciate you guys. Eric Angel, he's also in the house. Give him some love. Thank you, Eric. Eric told Shane about the live show after he saw you at the Corner Pocket last night. Corey, is it you're hanging out at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida?
Doing a little trivia. I actually had a good showing last night, but still wasn't good enough to place because it just wasn't. But we tried our best. Saw Eric Angel there. That was fun. And yeah, maybe if Eric doesn't tell Shane about the live show, who knows? Who knows how this show would have started today, Aslan?
What did you have at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill last night, Corey Clark?
I had wings, all flats. Mild because of my tummy, and they were incredible. They were really, really good.
Ranch blue cheese guy with your wings?
Usually ranch. Last night I went a little blue cheese though. Blue cheese and love my celery. Just throwing my celery in the blue cheese.
Really? I don't want to take you for a celery guy.
Shut your mouth. What does that even mean? Don't ever say that to me again.
Wow, sorry. Thursday lunch special is the cheesesteak sandwich. You can also get a chicken if you want. Curly fries at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Get some.
I mean, you can go with the curly fries. I'm sure they're good. The straight fries are the best on earth.
So,
yeah. Okay. Just throwing that out there.
Strong. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Steve Johnson, can you believe we haven't hosted a regional since 2018? That was a given forever. Yeah. What was I figured it out the other day. Kind of rough. Don't quote me to ESPN on this one, everybody. But I think 1973 was the last. That was like maybe 1973, 74, 75, and there was a gap, I think, in 76. That was the last time Florida State went 3 years, more than 3 years, without hosting a regional. I mean, they've never gone 3 seasons without hosting a regional since the 70s, is what I'm trying to say. That's
right.
How long.
Yeah. It's been since 18. Obviously, we all know 2020 didn't happen, so we don't know if they would have hosted a regional that season. But yeah, 19, they were at Georgia for the regional and pounded Georgia. And made it to Omaha. And then 20, where were they? They were at Ole Miss last year, right? Yeah.
Oxford.
And kind of an 8th inning error kind of blew that thing open, or they were in good shape to be in the winner's bracket and only had to win one to get to the super regional. So yeah, if they'd have won last night, because they're kind of competing with Florida for that, probably a host, I would think. Those two teams are in competition for one of the final hosting spots. That would have been a big win. They had a lead. And yeah, I mean, they only struck out 8 times. That's what I was saying. They didn't make an error. I thought they pitched well. I thought overall it was a good game.
I can't find.
Sometimes you lose. It's baseball.
Yeah, I mean, they fought back. They played well. Just
Hair looked great. Scalaro looked great.
That was just an odd. I get it. I talked about on the pod. I get matchups, but when you're going to throw a guy out there that's going to throw something predictable and it's not a premium pitch. What are we trying to do here? Do we not know? Do we not know in May who our guy is? Who's our left? We got to get an out. The guy's left-handed. Who are we going to go to? We don't know that yet. Andrew Armstrong, sophomore, who's maybe been in 15 games
I think that was the thought process there is like, look, I don't think Andrew Armstrong pitches in that game if they would have lost the series to Miami. I think winning the series at Miami, cementing yourself in the tournament, you've got to find a lefty specialist, or you're trying to find one. Your two best lefties out of the pen are Scolaro and Wyatt Crowell. And they're not matchup guys. They're just awesome. Or Crowell is awesome. And Scolaro is just a guy that gives you innings in the middle typically. So they're trying to find a guy, maybe a late inning guy that can get lefties out. And they gave Armstrong a shot, and the ball went, I don't know where it landed. I think it hit the O-Dome. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely crushed. That kid's still standing at home plate watching it.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry. Here's my text to you guys. 1973 through 75, that was the last time Florida State had gone 3 consecutive seasons without hosting a regional. So
but let's see, like, so if they don't do it this year, that's what they're matching, because I know it's been since 18, but one of those years was nobody hosted a regional. So this would be the third straight year. But yeah, man, the last time they didn't, 2 years or whenever it was, the 19, they went to Omaha, but not hosting a regional. But yes, it is crazy. Well, it's crazy to be here in early June and Florida State's on the road. I don't even remember who was in that regional. Do you?
Which one?
The 18?
Yeah, it was Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and I forgot who the fourth was. Maybe.
Oh, that's right, because you said Kyler Murray was in that regional. Yeah, last time they hosted a regional, Kyler Murray played in it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, where does the time go, Aslan? Where does it go?
Mark Sermons, present, accounted for.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Thank you,
Mark. Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Aslan, when are you coming to South Florida with Michael? Thanks for all the information, guys. Not sure. He's working and mapping it out. The spring tour resumes after a 2-year hiatus, really. Or maybe Michael did it without me last year, but I know we're going to Duval County sooner than later. I don't know where South Florida is on the calendar. It probably will happen at some point, but I know we're going out east to Jacksonville here
to
soon.
Speak or to go talk to kids.
Talk to the cheering.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. I didn't know if you were going to do a spring tour, like give some talks.
Yeah, what's my TED Talk going to be? What's my TED Talk going to be? All right, credible backstory. We are over under 7.5 wins. What is the smart money?
It's a good question.
Seven's a good number. 7's a good number.
Yeah. So is 8 though. Like if they're the team they finished the season with last year, or even marginally better than they were at the end of last year, that's an 8-win team, even with a tougher schedule. The problem is the schedule. You play some really good quarterbacks. You're at Miami, which is going to be tough. Clemson and Florida are always tough. You've got an LSU non-conference game. I mean, it's a tough schedule, but it's not unmanageable. And if your quarterback stays healthy, I think 8 wins is definitely on the table. But I would not make that bet. I would make the bet for $20. I'm not putting a lot of money on that bet, like I did my Braves in the World, or my Astros in the World Series.
Florida man says, Corey, I love your bald hair. I wish I could rock the bald alpha look. All caps.
And I'm out here looking like Bruce Willis, right? Well, tough news about Bruce Willis when he can't communicate now. Isn't that what's going on? He's got that condition, which is a bummer. But he gave us a lot of great moments. Old B-Dub did.
Yeah. Matthew Ogles, if an offensive lineman entered the portal and the staff were to reach out to him, and could they ask him if he knows 4 other linemen that want a new home also, or would that be tampering?
No, I don't know. That's not tampering to say, hey, if you got any friends, let them know. That's just smart coaching. That's just good recruiting. Yeah. I mean, the tampering is to be, yes, exactly right. No, that's not tampering. If the guy's in the portal and you just say, hey man, if you want to mention this to any of your buddies, as long as you don't say the kids' names, I don't think that's tampering. And who would enforce it anyway, Matt? You know what I mean? Who would enforce it? So even if it is tampering, go ahead and do it.
Credible backstory comes back with he threw money. I didn't even realize he ended up going with money afterwards. Listen, if you guys ask good questions, we'll take them. You don't have to just throw money. I promise you. I'm only ignoring you.
Don't tell them not to.
Well, I'm saying I'm only ignoring you if your question is bad, everybody. So you don't have to throw money. But all right, yeah. So Listen, I would hate to say go under on 7.5 and then they win 8 because it's like, all right, you bet against your team to be successful and they ended up being successful. And now
you can do like I did in the World Series and just do the emotional hedge.
Yeah.
Bet 100 on the under, hoping that you're wrong. But if you're right, you win some money. Or bet 1,000 or 10,000. Bet every dollar that you made tonight in this chat.
Yeah. All right. Oh my gosh. Joel Davis is here, Corey.
Man.
Joel Davis. What are we doing?
This is a weird show. This has turned into a weird, lovable, lovingly wonderful show.
Joel. Let's go. What are we doing? Corey, say something. Fill the air.
Joel Davis gave us $500, and he said, "I told Eric to tell Shane JK LOL." I'm not sure what that's. Oh, about the live show. Yeah. Joel Davis. Again, I'm going to say this every time for all you folks that might get upset about the money coming in. They are giving a lot of money to the Florida State boosters as well. They are big time boosters. They are pillars. They give money to us. They're very, very nice, but they are not doing it at the expense of Rising Spear and the boosters. So everybody's Joel Davis and James B and Shane, they're hooking up everybody. We're just happy to be along on their coattails. But they're good folks, man. They're good folks. We should do a show with the pillars one time. Like just have them all in a room and just talk to them about, where does all this money come from? Why do you what's up? What's up? Why are you so giving? Why are you so charitable?
Shout out to Gator Kirk pointing out the baseball game last night. I guess they didn't rule that an error.
They didn't.
I scored
I didn't know that.
At home. No, they gave him like a double, I guess.
Oh, that's crazy. It was definitely an error. I mean, right fielder has to make that play. And Ferrer's been very good for them and had a good game in that one. But yeah, that's got to be caught. That gave them a run. I mean, they don't win if he makes that play.
James B. Complimenting the interview with Lonnie, liked it. She's such a great coach in person. Confirmed, verified.
Yep. And a great ambassador for this school. And Aslan did bring it up, not so subtly either, about getting her to stay. There was not an answer of "I love it here, I'm never leaving." That was
take me out of here in a pine box.
Yeah, that was not the case. But she really does love this community and love how the community has embraced her team. She knows is really special.
Yeah, she's awesome. Everyone's like, "Oh, you should get her on the show more often." I don't want to overexpose Lonnie. You all love her because she wins all the time. So I don't want to, constantly put her in front of you with the microphone and everything. And we're going to pick our spots with her. Let her keep doing her thing.
We'll do it before. Why don't we do like a College World Series preview?
Okay.
If they get there, we'll talk to her before then as well, before she goes out to OKC. Absolutely.
Slick Pulla, 1555, looking like what was the wrestler that had the makeup like that? The name's on the tip of my tongue, like not Django. That's anyhow.
To me, that looks like the mask they wore the Cobra Kai guys did in Karate Kid when they beat up Daniel LaRusso and then Miyagi jumped the fence and kicked the crap out of a bunch of teenagers.
No, somebody will. I got faith in you folks. We'll post it out there. But he wants to share his opinion that if we don't win over 8 games this season, our head coach needs to be fired, and we have to immediately interview Bob Stoops or Urban Meyer.
Well, no, if they don't win over 8 games, he's not being fired. And that wouldn't, yeah, look, man, I think and that would be I know winning matters more than anything. I think Urban is done as a coach. I think it was so just, he's so toxic right now and poison. I don't know that he will coach again. And that would be a really hard sell to Florida State fans. I know winning is what everybody cares about more than anything. And I guess Florida State fans would get over their how much they despise that man because he is not a good person. But I guess winning solves that. I don't know. But no, look, if Norvell wins 6 games, I don't see any way he gets fired other than an absolute collapse. And I don't see that happening. But he'll have a lot of pressure on him going into 2023 if he's sitting around this 6 and 7 win mark again. 2023 to me, Jeff thinks it's this year. I think 2023 is the pivotal year for him because if you're not up to 9 wins, at least challenging for an Atlantic Division title, if we don't even have divisions, you're not challenging for a spot in the ACC championship game after 4 years or 3.5, if you don't want to count all of COVID. That's not a great look because they're giving you a lot, man. They're giving you all the support staff you want. They've created this rising spear. They're helping you bring in players. At some point, you got to go get an offense that scores a bunch of touchdowns and wins games.
Nobody volunteered the answer of Kamala, but it's not. It's not Kamala. It's closer to Cobra Kai. It's neither of those. Let us know, Slick Pulla, what your motivation, your artistic sort of inspiration for that look is. Curious. Moving along here, Ronald Shores. Ronald, welcome. Don't know if you ever met each other, but welcome.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you, man.
Thank you very much. $10 in the jar. Should the Athletic Coast Conference add Oklahoma State and Baylor and forget this whole little dance with Notre Dame? We have to add value somehow, and it doesn't appear Notre Dame is adding anything for the conference. I would rather have Notre Dame than both those teams, but to your point, it's been a dance, a fruitless dance. Right? Stillwater and Waco. I mean, I could party. I get down on the Bezos or the Brazos River. They call it breakfast on the Brazos, the 11 a.m. kickoffs at Baylor, Corey. There's a river.
Oh, do they? I didn't know that. There you go.
Through their stadium, practically.
Cool.
So.
And Garth Brooks, that's where he got his start, was in Stillwater in Oklahoma State. I don't know that he was a student there, but he was playing the college bars there back in the, mid 80s. I don't know. When did Garth become popular? Like 91 or something? So back in the mid to late 80s, he was playing the bars in Oklahoma State. So you got that too. Tallahassee has Creed. Stillwater has Garth Brooks. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Notre Dame, man. I'm sure it added some value at the time, especially when you're trying to keep this. All this was happening when you're trying to keep the conference together and not have your best teams poached and make sure the teams that are worried know they have some stability. But yeah, what has Notre Dame added to the conference? I mean, because they keep their share of the money. Like, you know what I mean? They certainly haven't helped the TV revenue. They're almost, we're falling, even though they have to play 5 games a year against ACC teams. That hasn't added any value to the TV contract. It wouldn't appear, it's not competitively anyway with the SEC and the Big Ten. So, I guess you want them because it is something you can sell to ESPN when you go back to the negotiating table. But when is that going to be? Like, are they really just not going to negotiate till 2036 when this grant of rights is up? Because if that's the case, then Notre Dame really doesn't add anything. But, man, yeah, Notre Dame would be a much bigger deal than Oklahoma State and Baylor as far as TV contract goes, if you could get them as a full-time member. But they're not going to do it because why would they, sadly? Well, but Oklahoma State and Baylor, they care. At least Oklahoma State and Baylor care. They're football schools.
Yeah. Remember, they got those check-ins. They're not like formally written into the contract, but there's the check-in windows they have where they can kind of revisit the contracts. And maybe after the SEC signs their mega billion-dollar deal, they can be like, hey, they got $6.4 billion. Could we please have $800 million?
Yeah. 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 We got Notre Dame. We got Notre Dame for 5 games, everyone.
Matty Sims, thanks, Ronald Shores. Appreciate you. Welcome. I don't know if we've ever had you on the show, but welcome, man. And thank you, as Corey said. Matthew Sims asked, any of you Saints fans now with Jameis Winston leading the way?
I am not.
Okay. Lots of good Jameis pub out there lately. I think spearheaded by the one-on-one that Jeff had with him on his show, the Jeff Cameron Show, which can be heard 1 to 3 o'clock weekdays here on Warchant TV, as well as 93.3 FM in Tallahassee. I mean, golly, something like 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, I think he had last season before he went down. Something very efficient. I'm a little bit nervous about Sean Payton not being there. I think so much of Jameis, like, he obviously has everything together physically. He needs like the proper whisperer. And I thought Bruce Arians would be that guy, but apparently there's something that maybe even he lacks to connect with Jameis. I just really like Sean Payton, man, and he's not there any longer. So I am a little bit apprehensive, but I hope he's got it all rolling, man. If Jameis would win in the NFL, for some reason, I just think that would create some kind of good synergy for the college football team. I know it doesn't work that way, but maybe make me feel a little bit better, at least at the weekend.
I feel like he's got 2 wins next season when they play the Falcons. He'll get to play against Mariota again. That great rivalry, like the Brady Manning rivalry of this decade. Mariota and Jameis Winston.
I do want to pull that up. What did our guy have last season?
Yeah, he was very efficient. He wasn't throwing for a ton of yards.
14,
They didn't.
yeah, 14 and 3. I was right.
Yeah.
14 touchdowns, 3 picks, man.
How many yards?
1170 though.
In how many games?
7.
Yeah, 6 really, probably, right? Because he got hurt
Right.
in the 7th. So
Yeah.
he was averaging less than 200 yards a game, but so it wasn't the Drew Brees 400 yard stuff, but he was good with the ball. He didn't turn it over. And we think a lot of that had to do with Sean Payton, but hopefully he's flushed that out of his system.
Yeah. All right. Rolling along here on the show. What else we got? We got a lot of sniping. Everybody get along. Everybody get along well. Can't read that comment. Got to keep scrolling here. Corey, I have nothing clever to add as I try to find another question here in our queue here. Are you expecting a clean sweep through the regional for Lonnie and Florida State this weekend? Howard, and then they're able to get through that. USF, Mississippi State winner would await them, and then have them take out one of those other 3 teams one other time.
Yeah, man. I mean, only because they always do it. But it's a goofy game, and you do lose these games. It's not easy to just sweep to even a team that's you're 2 in the RPI. They're 28th. 28th is still, they've lost to teams with lower RPIs than that. Like, it's softball. Anything can happen, especially when you have a good pitcher. And you even think back to like the championship year. They won their regional, they swept through it, but one of the games they beat Auburn was a inside the park walk-off home run. That game was like 0-0 or 1-1, and they get an inside the park walk-off when the right fielder dives for the ball and it rolls by her. That's how they won a game. Like, there's a lot of it comes down to just tiny moments when you're playing good teams, and all the time. And they've done so well in that this year, but you never know. I mean, I would assume they're going to sweep through the regional, but because they're a really good softball team, but it's goofy. Anything can happen.
Just saw Memphis get a quarterback out of the portal from Cal, but he started his career at Penn in 2019, then went to West Carolina, COVID year, then ended up at Cal. Now he's on his 4th different school in 4 years. I thought it's a one-time transfer. How does that work?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Some of that's FCS, I guess, possibly. That's just crazy. What would make your day? Oh, 2-lifer. There we go. Papa Shango. That's the guy I was thinking about, the wrestler. 2-lifer. Way to come through. Just when I had a question in my head to ask Corey, that pops in my head, and now I've forgotten it. As we do look at this transfer portal, Corey, and it seems to be pretty paltry, like, what's the one position that would make you the most, you'd perk up the most? You'd want to run over to PFF and look the kid up and see what his grades were if you were to see that Florida State had just signed player X from Power 5 program out of the portal?
Defensive end.
Okay.
I think that's where I'd that defensive lineman in general, but defensive end specifically is the one. Wide receiver 2. Those have been my 2. And but you've already used the portal for 4 wide receivers. I don't know that you can go for a 5th unless something just drops out of heaven. But I think defensive line, just getting getting another proven player on the edge, because again, as much as I think Jared Verse has a chance to be a star, it's probably not going to be this year. We talked about this on headlines. Jermaine Johnson wasn't a star his year after JUCO. He had to get adjusted. He got 2 years to get adjusted to SEC football and then became a star. And I have to imagine the competition that he was playing in JUCO was probably similar or maybe better than what Jared Verse was going against at Albany. So the leap up in competition and just the leap up in attention is maybe something that we have to pump the brakes a little bit on Jared Verse and understand he's probably never going to be Jermaine Johnson, because that guy was awesome, but he might not be a star his first year, but that doesn't mean he won't grow into it, because he has some stuff to him.
James B says, I have asked that question a million times. Is there a one-time transfer rule or not? He went FCS. I think the one-time transfer rule is FBS.
And I also think he probably was allowed because he was at Penn, and then they didn't play in 2020. So he was probably allowed a free transfer then because of COVID. Yeah, I would think.
All right, then let's continue the either ors, but it looks like Rhinos has got a question for us. Rhinos 2230. What up, Rhinos? Hey guys, is there a 1,000-yard running back either this season or next?
You think that's his PIN number?
Absolutely.
for his ATM?
Wells Fargo.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Maybe next year with Benson. If Benson becomes something this year where he becomes like a certifiably the number one back for this team and gets the majority of the carries, or at least gets a large bulk of the carries, maybe. I just think there's going to be too much splitting with Ward and Benson and Toafili for any of them to get 1,000 yards. But maybe if Benson proves that, if he rushes for 740 on 145 carries and 9 touchdowns going into next year, he might be the absolute certified number one guy, and he's going to get 20 carries a game. And then, yes, I think that could be the guy next year. But it's hard to predict that. Didn't they have a guy that ran for like 1,800 yards at Memphis?
Before the guy that's backing up Cam, Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
He
ran for a boatload, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kenneth Gainwell did quite well as well, too.
So they're not averse to having a dude carry the load. I just don't. Ward, I don't think, is that guy. I think he's a great change-up back, and he's a lot better than I ever thought he was going to be. And then Benson, we just don't know yet. Again, I don't know how many carries he has in college. 11, 4. So we'll see what he is this year.
Reliable resellers. What if the SEC doesn't care if the sport turns into NASCAR when it's all their teams in the race anyways?
Yeah, it's just, that would be sad. I'm not saying I don't expect it, but it just would be sad because you'd like them to understand that the reason the sport has always been great is because there were Notre Dames and USCs and Washingtons and Florida States and Penn States, and it wasn't all just regionalized. It's alienating such a huge portion of this country to your sport. And for the better good of the sport, you would hope they would understand that there needs to be more equity across the country as far as coaching salaries, players, TV money, wins, attention from ESPN, all of it. And but yeah, they as for right now, reliable resellers, I don't think they do care. I think they do care. I don't think they care that it's turning into NASCAR. They just pat their backs all the time about how great their conference is when Alabama or Georgia wins a championship, and it's really hurting the sport. And I hope somebody makes it stop.
Reliable resellers, a recent subscriber to warchant.com. Also, Gregory Morand, president and CEO of the Micah Pittman fan club, I think recently just joined warchant.com as well.
Oh, nice. There we go. YouTube, good.
So pull him in slowly.
A lot of great content over there, gang.
Yeah. How about our guy? Wes in the Villages is back. Who will have more touchdown passes this year? Tate Rodemaker, AJ Duffy. What, Corey? How about I throw a curve in there? If AJ were to end up being the second string quarterback, would that be a positive development, you think, overall for the quarterback room, or would that be a bit of something that would create a little bit more concern for you if somehow he ends up being the second string quarterback this season and it's not injury?
No, I think that would be a very good sign that if he overtakes Rodemaker, because Rodemaker was good in the spring, certainly much better than he'd ever been. If he can make that kind of leap in 5 months or 6 months, or and then becomes the number 2 guy, because he was clearly number 3 in the spring. But if he can become number 2, then that means he's making big strides, and yeah, he might. That's a really good sign moving forward that he might be a guy.
That said, who will throw for more touchdowns this year, Corey? You think AJ or Tate?
Tate. All right. Tate. I don't know that. The problem is, other than Duquesne, what games are you going to be able to play your third string quarterback? You're going to play a lot of close games this year, probably a lot of close games, and you're not going to give these guys a chance to really, unless injury happens. You're not going to give these guys much of a chance to, get a lot of experience, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, isn't this supposed to be the win little season? Like, you lose big, you lose little, and then you start winning close or whatever, and then you win big. Like, aren't we in the life cycle that these are going to be close? Just like last season, they're going to be really fourth quarter games, not really fourth quarter games, one possession games that they'll have a shot at, and hopefully they'll win more of them than lose them this time around.
Yeah, and I don't know, with the way college football is now, I don't know that you're ever going to get to the win big part. You know what I mean? Like you'll win some games big, but man, it's hard. There's so much. I'm talking about within conferences, especially this conference. There seems to be more parity than ever. It's tough to just say, "Oh, we're playing Virginia this week. We'll beat them 41-14." I mean, that just doesn't happen. But yeah, I would say I don't know if it's supposed to go by season, but yes, and Bobby Bowden said that, Jimbo said that. You lose big, you lose little, you win little, then you by little margins. We're talking about. In 2020, clearly they lost by huge margins. 2021, all their losses, save for Wake Forest, were very small. Were all one possession, except I think the NC State game ended up being a 2-score game, but it was 21-14, like in the fourth quarter, right? I think, I think so. And then Norvell made a fourth down decision we debated, and then yeah, so their losses were small. Now this one, yeah, but they also won some close games. So you win a few more close games this year, and then maybe you can actually have some games where you're up by 3 scores in the fourth quarter. That would be nice. That has not happened around here a lot lately.
Old Cod Willie, what random team would you like to see the Noles play in a bowl game?
Penn State? Are they random?
Yeah, they're not in our conference. They're not like a natural rival. I'd say it's random. Yeah, I mean, what else would I say? Like, Tulsa. I don't want to play. I mean, that's a random team, but I don't want to play Tulsa.
I'd like Nebraska too.
Okay.
Those were always fun bowl games. It's been a minute. Like run those back, like the Fiesta Bowls from way back when and the Orange Bowls. But I would say, yeah, man, Penn State. They've only played once, I think, in my lifetime. That's had to be right.
Twice.
Oh, yeah, they played in the Orange Bowl, and then they played in the Blockbuster Bowl. I was at the Blockbuster Bowl. My dad got really drunk. It's fine. It's fine. R.I.P. He wasn't driving, so it was fine. And yeah, Noles won. Casey Well, man, please, great game. But yeah, that was the. I didn't go to the Orange Bowl, so that's the only time I've gotten to see Penn State play.
Did Mesa miss an extra point that would have won the game for us? I remember he missed an extra point.
I think they did, and he did. Yeah. I think, or they missed a short field. I think they missed a short field goal in overtime, and then he missed a short field goal in overtime, and then they lost in the next overtime.
The question really is, what team wouldn't we want to play in a bowl game? I'll take anybody, man. Run it back to El Paso and Arizona State, man. I'll do that again. I'll do that again.
Southern Miss. You'll go to Shreveport and play Southern Miss again.
Yeah. Sage Rubin, who celebrated procuring their Clemson Florida State tickets recently here, asks, do we think that we'll get Fowler Herbie for either the LSU or Florida games?
I would think
LSU, I'd put money on LSU, but I don't know about the Florida game.
So Georgia-Oregon is that weekend too, but that's a Saturday. So I would assume they'll call the Georgia-Oregon game and then just fly to fly to New Orleans and call that next game that Sunday night, I would think. Who is their number? I don't even know who their number 2 crew is for primetime stuff.
Joe Tess. I think Joe Tess and Greg McElroy, I think, are the number 2 team for them.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. So I would say the LSU game is probably a better bet because, that Florida game is a night game and then they have to do game day from, I don't know, wherever they're going to be, Tuscaloosa. So they might not want to do a game Friday night, go do game day on Saturday morning, and then do a game that night. So I would think the LSU is the best chance there.
Or maybe McDonough and Blackledge might be their number 2 team.
Oh, yeah. I like those guys. Yeah. Penn State, Blackledge, old Penn State quarterbacks, all coming together.
Like a James B saying, Gregory Moran joined Warchant. Oh, Lord. Yeah.
It's all happening.
Go mix it up with them. Ortega M. Williams. What up, Ortega? Which defensive back do you think will have multiple interceptions this season?
Akeem Dent.
Oh, all right. We agree. You all want me to say Omarion Cooper, but I would say Akeem Dent. What do you think? You think Jamie will have more picks or Omarion? Or Duke, rather. They've always talking about Duke.
I don't know, man. Duke probably. Yeah. Okay. Jamie's a good football player, though, man.
He is.
He's one of the best you got.
Reliable Resellers is back. All conferences should stop playing SEC teams, dissolve, and form a new conference between them and only play one another. Sell the rights to Amazon and Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, it would be funny if if the other that alliance thing, I don't know where we are on that alliance thing, if it's strong or if that was like a 1 week headline. but I don't think it's as strong as like the Allied forces in the 40s. You know what I mean? I don't think they're really packed together like that. But I do think that there has to be, like, we can all say the SEC loves it the way it is, but really, if all these other teams are playing each other, and the SEC is just beating up on each other and giving themselves their own championship, that's not going to be good for them. It just isn't. They do need the rest of the nation, even to just prove how good they are. They need the rest of the nation to play. It would be like the Yankees just in the Red Sox playing every year, that they just play each other. I just feel like, gosh, I wish there was some forethought going on with the people in the SEC to understand that it really is better for them in the long term. It really is. I know right now they're making so much money they can't see straight, but it really is better for them in the long term if these other conferences are good too. It just is, but we'll see.
I will say this. You do not, under any circumstance, want to lose your relationship with ESPN, though, I think. And I know a lot of people are groaning hearing that. Ask the NHL, man. Ask the NHL what happens when you're a sports league and you do not have ESPN in your corner, man. They won't totally knock you off their air, but they'll relegate you behind everybody, man. They'll be more than happy to pump up and talk about the NFL and the SEC, and then maybe throw in a 30-second highlight of Washington State taking out Baylor. But yeah, if you have to stay on board with ESPN, man. They control all sports, man. They are the go-to. Listen, I know Apple and Amazon are trying to get into streaming certain games packages. That's a nice supplement to your income when you have a major CBS partner or ABC, ESPN. I don't think you could survive with just Netflix, Amazon as your broadcast partner, because they're not broadcast. They just stream.
Probably not, but there are more options now than ever, which you would think would help negotiations and leverage. But again, what leverage does the ACC have with the grant of rights deal that they signed? None.
No, they don't. All right, that's a wrap for us, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your questions. We really do appreciate it. James B. asked what about Fox? Yeah, they're out there, but then you'll be on FS1. That'll make them spite you even more, ESPN, probably. You guys, how often do you watch FS1? Nobody watches FS1. You know how many high school kids watch FS1? None of them watch FS1. Anyhow, though, I'm ranting. Florida State baseball back in action on Thursday. 3-game set against North Carolina, regular season finale up in Chapel Hill. And then softball Friday, 8:30 against Howard. We'll have one more show Friday, Renegade Express. So get your questions in over on warchant.com's Tribal Council. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hitting that thumbs up if you could on the way out, please. That matters a lot. Almost as much as this cold hard cash from guys like Shane, incredible. James B., you're incredible. T. Giddings, incredible. Eric Angel, credible. Mark Sermons, credible. My guy, credible backstory, credible. Our guy, Joel Davis, incredible. Look at that. Love you guys. Thank you so much. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Stay connected with warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Again, don't forget Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock right here on Warchant TV on weekdays. Have a great one, everybody. Corey, throw up the deuces.